Hi everyone, Adriana Jimenez with Fino Boxing, joined here with middleweight title contender Willie Monroe Jr., who's enjoying that delicious cheesecake. Just why you gotta be like that? Can you guys see that? Can you guys see how good that looks?
Oh, hold on. The champ is eating good right now.
That's right, that's right. No holding back. Well, that's good. Well, I mean, Willie, it's good to talk to you once again. I saw you this weekend at the StubUp Center for the Gennady Golovkin-Martirosyan fight. You told me that you recently joined forces with Al Heyman. Can you talk to me a little bit about how that happened?
Just to a few people I know, big thanks to Louis the Cubist and my brother who's out here in L.A. who, you know, some people who are connected to Al Heyman, you know, my brother knows them, and you know they were like, you know, he's interested. So once I, you know, became freed up of my contract, I talked with Louis the Cubist, and he put everything in line, got everything going, and I mean, we fought in March, and we're looking to fight again hopefully in June.
Joining Al Heyman, you know, he has a big stable of a lot of fighters in 160 that could open up many doors. What are names that you know that are available through Al Heyman that would be interesting for you down the line for a fight?
I mean, obviously you have the Charlos. You have the kid, I think his name is something Aleem. I know his last name is Aleem. You have Hugo Centeno. You have a bunch of middleweights over there and junior middleweights. So I mean, it's good fights that could be made. Good fights that could be made. I'm ready for all of them though.
I want to dive back a little into your upbringing. A lot of people may not know that, you know, you're Afro-Cuban. I believe your grandfather was, right, and he was really into boxing. You were telling us earlier how he just loved boxing, all the big fights he would order them. Talk to me a little about that.
It's just part of the family heritage and culture. You know, my grandfather would order all of the fights. You know, his father was a fighter. A couple of my uncles were fighters. My great uncles, I was saying. Then my great uncle who beat Marvin Hagler, who took it the furthest. So I mean, boxing is just entrenched in that culture, and it's entrenched in our culture and our family. So.
Do you remember walking into the gym for the very first time and thinking this is what I want to do, or because there's so many people in your family, it just kind of, you were there since day one?
Well, it sort of fell into place because I've been fighting since I could remember, and I saw my dad fighting on TV. And you know, I looked up to my dad as a youngin, and I wanted to be like my dad. You know, it was cool to have a father, your dad fighting on TV. You go to school and tell your friends, yeah, my dad just fought on TV last night. You know, it was really cool. And when I walked into I do remember the first day I actually walked into a boxing gym, and I got the slop beat out of me. I got beat up bad. I was like 6 years old. We didn't wear headgears. I got beat all the way up to a brick wall, knocked my head up against the wall. My head started bleeding a little bit in the back. But my grandfather said, he said, I knew you were crazy like me because after all of that, you were sitting on a bench crying, saying, yep, I'm going to be back tomorrow, though, watch. I'm going to be back. My grandfather said, that's when I knew you had a fighter's temperament. That's when I knew you had a fighter's mind. He said, because any other kid get their head knocked up against a brick wall, they're like, I want to go play baseball. You know, I want to go play basketball. He says, you know, I was sitting on a bench. I remember sitting on a bench crying, saying, and I'll never forget the kid's name. His name was Jeffrey. And after about a month and a half, you couldn't get Jeffrey or any of the rest of the kids my size to spar with me, or, you know what I mean, and I just grew from there.
Well, I'm glad you weren't one of those kids that said, like, this is not for me, you know. In Cuba, we know that Cuba is such a hotbed for a lot of amateur and professional champions. Is there something in the water? What is it about Cuba making so many top fighters?
I think it comes from dance, man. You know, like, you know, my heritage is Afro-Cuban, and one thing you know about, you know, Cubano people or any Latino people and with that African heritage is dance, movement. And if you look at a lot of the Cuban fighters, man, like everything works from the feet up. You know what I mean? They got the great movement. You look at Lara, you look at Rigondeaux, you look at Casamayor, you know what I mean? You look at myself, I'm not 100%, but it's just entrenched in my culture and the way I was taught to fight. Hit and don't get hit. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you're running, I'm an athlete, which means my body is my work. So I'm not just going to stand there and plant my feet and use my upper body. My whole body is my work. and moving and dipping and dodging and having fun. I think it's beautiful to watch, to hit and not get hit, to watch a man be able to evade shots while landing shots. And I mean, that's just the Cuban way. That's the way, you know, all Cuban fighters are taught, you know what I mean, to hit and not get hit. And that's what makes their skill so tremendous. I mean, when you look at the amateur program they have, I mean, like, they're some of the baddest. Like, everybody in the, you know, in the world are, you know, they get scared when it's like, oh, man, we got to fight Cubans. You know what I mean? When they get to the internationals and the Olympics. And, I mean, it's just Cubans just have the remedy of what it takes to be an awesome fighter, a great fighter, you know, and use every attribute, every tool, from dance to hands work with your feet, feet work with your hands, everything.
I mean, if you look at boxing, that's what it's supposed to be, right? Like, hit and don't get hit. But then you have all these fans who when Brigandow, when Lara, and even with Mayweather, when they fight, that they complain that they want to see more action. What do you tell those fans that are looking for two fighters to just stand in the middle and just go at it without, you know, more of a boxing match?
Well, 50% of those fans are going to complain whether it's a good fight or not. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how humans are. But, you know, boxing is a craft. Boxing is a skill of hit and don't get hit. Like, I'll see fans say, I don't like that guy. He moves too much. He doesn't let the action. He won't take a shot. He's scared. But then they'll see a guy that takes a lot of punches, and then after his career is over, he'll be kind of punchy, he'll talk funny, and that same person that said that they don't like the guy that moves will laugh at the guy that can't talk. Ah, look at him, he can't even talk now. And it's like, well, wait a minute. He put his life on the line and did all of that blood, you know, getting beat up and taking punches to give one for your entertainment, and now you laugh at him because he can't talk. So I understand that on both sides of the spectrum, it's going to be either you know, it's like damned if I do, damned if I don't. So, and this is another reason why I stand firm on my boxing, because, you know, I have a college degree. You know, I graduated at the top of my high school class. I have other, you know, not degrees, but certificates under my belt that I worked hard for this. You know, I was one of the guys up at a coffee shop, you know, with my friend's laptop because I couldn't afford a laptop, finishing modules and doing all of this work. But I say all of this to say I didn't sit in all of these coffee shops all of these nights and work to get all of this knowledge to get it beat out for someone else's entertainment. You know what I mean? I have a life after boxing. You know, I've been fighting since I was 6. I still talk well. I'm still articulate. You know, like, it's some guys younger than me who's take one to give one, and you can't barely get a clean sentence out of them. And boxing isn't like football, basketball, baseball, where they have a league that take care of these athletes after it's over. Once your career is over, you're over. And, you know, it's your job as a fighter to protect yourself and to take care of yourself and be smart and cognizant enough to know, hey, look, okay, I'm in a fight, I'm gonna get hit, but if I can minimize that, then I can have a great life after fighting. What good is all of this money and stuff if you don't even know how to spend it because you're numb up here, you know? So, and that's how I look at it. That's how I approach it. It's not about being scared. It's about being intelligent.
A lot of these fighters coming up, they all want that Mayweather money or Canelo money. But it's obvious that not everyone can get to that level. Do you think it's smart for a fighter coming up? Do you think it's smart for them to have a backup plan to, you know, have some investment in a business or go to school or just have some sort of like plan B, because not everyone can be that next Mayweather?
You have to, because even if you ask Floyd or you ask Canelo, they've taken the millions they've made and invested it into businesses because they know, I can't do this forever. So if the guys that are making the millions are smart enough to say, hey, listen, I'm going to put my money into something that's going to grow and build money down the road, and you definitely should, if you have 100,000, 200,000, should be your first move to try to put money into something that's going to grow later.
All right, and I want to bring it back to now that you're signed with Al Heyman, having Charlo being the WBC Golovkin, if that fight doesn't happen between them, is that a fight that you want eventually with Charlo?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, listen, I fought Golovkin with 19-1 with 20 fights. You know what I mean? These guys, you know, even Charlo. Now you see Charlo calling Triple G out now, and I'm like, 4 years ago nobody was trying to call this guy out. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, nobody, like, he was the boogeyman. And now that everybody think he's lost a step or now everybody want to call his name. You know what I mean? I fought this guy when everybody was stupid scared of him. You know what I mean? So I mean, if the fight doesn't happen and that's a fight that Al can make happen, it's not a fight I would turn down. You know, but honestly, I have my eyes set on, from what I heard a little propaganda, you know, names flying around that I could possibly fight Sergey Derevchenko. And I think that would be a smart fight for me to take, because if the IBF, you know, doesn't allow Triple G to keep his belt, then it'll become vacant. And Sergey Derevchenko is the #1 contender. So if I fight him, beat him, I don't have to worry about fighting Charlo for WBC silver and try to get back in line for Golovkin. I'll have an IBF. You know what I mean? And then that'll attract the rest of the belts, you know? So, I mean, it's not a fight that I would turn down. None of these fights are the ones that I would turn down. But if I could get, you know, if I had to choose right out of the gate who I would fight, I would rather the Derevchenko fight, because it looks to have more value at this moment, you know? But it all depends on what happens. You know, I'm willing to fight anybody.
Going back to the Canelo Golovkin, having fought Golovkin, were you surprised of the outcome of the fight, where Canelo moved more than we expected and Golovkin didn't go to the body as much as we expected him to?
Well, nah. I mean, Canelo's very smart. You know, I mean, the people who seem to have unlocked a little bit of to expose a few of Triple G's flaws, and you know, no one's perfect. You know, or to seemingly exposed flaws, were me, Kell Brook, and then Danny Jacobs. So I'm thinking Canelo said boxing and fast hands and not letting this guy get to me is what will help me win the fight. You know what I mean? And I think he did a great job. You know, it was a very close fight. I would love to see a part 2. You know, we already know what's going on right now, but I would love to see a part 2. Both of them are awesome fighters, you know. Take
me back to the UK when you fought Billy Joe Saunders. You know, you've told me that it was such a tough week, from the heated media workout to the weigh-in to having his son hit you in your groin area twice. I mean, right? I mean, did you? I know you can't retaliate, but did you feel like just smacking the little boy? I mean, who does that?
You know, I always say trust the process. I don't like what happened over there. I don't like the way things happened. I don't like the way my team was harassed. I mean, it was 8 of us over there. Actually, it was 4 of us over there, and the other 4 came over the day of the weigh-in. Like, if you're such a bad guy and such a big, bold champion who beats everybody, and like he says, I'm the WBO king, real kings don't need to act that way or conduct yourself like a professional. Like having gypsies hang outside of my hotel room door and calling me every black and Hispanic racial name that could be in the book. And that doesn't bother me because I get it here in America. But just to overdo these things and to treat my team the way we were treated, just so you can secure the fact that you keep your belt, there's no honor in that. But I honestly believe God doesn't make mistakes, and I just have to trust the process. You know, had I won that title, I would have owed the promoter that I was with 3 more fights. And you look at Billy Joe Saunders, he hasn't fought. I mean, he fought David Lemieux, but then he has this this fight coming up with what's his name, Martin Murray, and that fight has fell apart once or twice. It's just like I wouldn't want to be in that type of mess with those people. So you know, sometimes you got to take the good with the bad and just be happy. You know, I'm in a prime position. I mean, like, look, I didn't fight for a whole year. I couldn't get the promotional arm I was with. I couldn't even get them on the phone for a whole year until that fight came up and there was an opportunity for them, not me. But I signed to Al December. I was fighting by March. You can't be mad at that, you know. So as far as what happened in London, I don't like it. But you know what? Maybe 20 years from now, it may hold some weight. You know what I mean? When Muhammad Ali was dealing with the whole dodging the draft and the whole Vietnam War and not going, and they stripped him of his titles and took money from him, and you know, had to go to jail and all, paying for all of these court dates and everything. Like, I'm pretty sure his team around him was like, man, maybe you should have did something different at that moment. Like, man, because it didn't feel good at that moment. But the way Ali conducted himself in that moment years later made him a civil rights activist. So what happened to me in London, the racial stuff, the being you know what I mean, being threatened and all of that. Okay, it didn't feel good and people laugh at it now, but 20 years from now, that may be a story that makes Willie Monroe that guy again. So you can't really get mad at things that happen. You have to take the good with the bad. And like Einstein said, we have the choice of whether to believe we live in a hostile or a friendly universe, you know, and when you make that choice, that depicts how you act. I look at that as a friendly because it's going to help me years down the road, you know.
Because even with everything that was going on during the week, and then you mentioned the fight or the altercation that happened while you were fighting, while you were in the ring, that you had a friend come over to cheer you on. You know, you're in the enemy's territory, but your friend gets attacked while you are fighting, and you still have to maintain your composure. How do you do all that?
It was scary because the young lady that came over, she's from Rochester. She's from my hometown, but she goes to school in London. She's back and forth to London, and she said, "Look, I'm going to come root you on because, you know, you're about to be in an arena full of gypsies, and I know it. You know, like I live around some of them, and you know, you're not going to get any support there. So I'll be there with, you know, the other 7 people you brought over with you." So I was like, "Cool." So she took like a train or something over for the fight, and she was standing right next to my brother. And what's funny about this, right, as I requested that my team, like my brother, my team, my other part of my team that came over to watch the fight and support me, I specifically requested that they were able to sit ringside in my corner. I didn't want them spread out. I wanted them right there so I would know that this is where my team is. Yeah, I know the rest of the arena, but don't spread them out. I want to be able to hear them to know that they spread my team out all around and they did it simply because I requested that they don't do it, so they did the exact opposite. And the girl, when she got jumped by about 6 gypsies. These big guys, her and her boyfriend is maybe my size. These guys are all huge, and they beat her and this kid up for rooting for me. And the thing that scared me the most is it happened right in front of my brother. And everybody knows my brother's my ace. My brother's always with me. You know, we 2 peas in a pod. And for like 3 rounds, 3-4, I didn't hear my brother screaming for me. So I was sitting down in the corner. You could see my mom say, "Okay, yo, how was that round? Did we get that round?" And my trainer say, "That round was too close. I don't like it." And I say, "Where's my brother? Is my brother okay?" And obviously my trainer would say, "Trent's okay. He's okay. He's good. He's out." But he doesn't want to mess my mind up during the fight. But I was concerned because I'm like, after this fight went down right in front of my brother, I didn't hear my brother screaming for me for 4 rounds. I got nervous. Like, yo, forget the belt, forget the fight. We got to make it back home safe. You know what I mean? And around maybe round 9, round 10, I started hearing my brother again, but he was on the other side. And if you watch the fight around round 9, round 10, that's when I really start picking it up and really fighting. But it's too late by then. So little things that the fans don't know, you know, the fix was in. And I knew that going over there. It's not something that surprised me. I said, hey, bet big, win big. You know what I mean? And, you know, like I said, I make no excuses. I mean, hey, the man got a decision, but it ended up landing me in a better position. You know what I mean? I could still be stuck where I was getting no fights, you know, but I'm becoming another topic of interest in the middleweight division, and I'm happy.
Damn, that definitely is something tough to go through for. We're looking forward to seeing you back inside the ring hopefully soon. I'd like to know your opinion on this week. We have fight week for Lomachenko, Linares. A very interesting fight going on this Saturday. What do you make of that fight?
Man, that's a 50-50 fight for me. Both of those guys are badass. And obviously Lomachenko is, you know, obviously they have him on the pound-for-pound list. But, I mean, Linares is, and he's tall, he's rangy, he can box on the outside, and he can rumble on the inside. I mean, it's going to be, you have to look at all of these things and take them into accountability before you make a prediction for a fight. And right now I just see it 50-50 because in order for Lomachenko to do everything that he's done to these other guys, he's going to have to first get inside of this. And he's trained, obviously, well, I guess not this fight, but Salas trains him, right? I mean, even though he's not for this fight, that training doesn't go away, you know what I mean, in 6 or 7 weeks or in one training camp. And one thing that kid has learned how to really do is box from the outside. So now Lomachenko's going to have to worry about getting through the jabs, the right hands, and the slickness from the outside. And then once he gets on the inside, Linares can bang on the inside too. So it's a 50-50 fight. I'm excited. As a fan, I can't wait to see it. Like, you know, I can't wait to see the fight.
Is there an advantage? And if so, how much of an advantage is it for Linares, the fact that Lomachenko is coming up in weight?
That is an advantage because even though Lomachenko is strong, I mean, he's already made a big jump up to 130. And then now he's coming up to, what, 135? And even though it's a big jump, I mean, it's not a big jump from 130. That's still more weight. And you got, I mean, five or 10 extra pounds of a guy leaning and laying on you or punching you, it can take a toll. You know, I know what it's like to be in the ring sparring with heavyweights and light heavyweights, and then what it's like to spar with maybe a junior middleweight and a welterweight. And when those big guys lean and lay on you, it just zaps you. You know what I mean? And when they're punching you, it zaps you. So, I mean, like, well, I mean, he'll have to come in tremendous shape, definitely, if he expects to get a win over Linares. But I'm just happy a fight like that was made because it's a fight where you don't know who to pick. It's like, I got to see it, you know, so.
Well, I know that one day I'm going to see you on TV analyzing and breaking down fights. I want to get a preview of the future. What does Lomachenko and what does Linares have to do to come out victorious? What do they each have to do?
Lomachenko's going to have to be first. He's going to have to have calm aggression. Because Lomachenko he has great movement and his aggression is good, but it has to be a little more calm, a little more subtle. Because calm aggression, like regular aggression is 1 + 1 = 2. We know that, but calm aggression is almost like an algebraic equation, like you don't understand it. So he's going to need that calm aggression to sort of throw Linares off so he can get to the inside. Linares is going to have one heck of a jab, and he's going to have to use it up and down and make Lomachenko very comfortable to where Lomachenko doesn't want to do those little shifty moves to get in on the inside. And fight him long, and then on the inside, make him respect you, and then push him back to the outside and just make him very uncomfortable from the outside because Linares is taller. So, and those are my keys to victory for both fighters. So. Now,
if you go back to Lomachenko's fight before this fight against Linares, he fought Rigondeaux, Escuela Cubana. That's your style. You know this. That was the fight that everyone was waiting for. It was a 50-50 match, and we saw what happened. What does that say about Lomachenko?
It says Lomachenko got great promoters behind him as well as skill, because that fight should have definitely happened like 2015 before Lomachenko moved up to 130. You know what I mean? And then it was kind of sad seeing that because, you know, I mean, Rigo's out of the ring for almost 2 years. You know what I mean? Then to come back to a fight of that caliber after 2 years, then you have to go up in weight after 2 years. And then they also tell you, yeah, if you lose this, you also lose your featherweight titles too. It's just like, oh, man. I'm a fighter. Like, it's just like, that's a lot. That's a lot to be on a fighter's mind and on a fighter's heart when I haven't been in the ring in such a long time and I'm coming to fight the baddest man, the guy that they consider the baddest man pound for pound right now. But, I mean, Lomachenko did what he was supposed to do. I mean, I like Lomachenko. I think he's an awesome fighter, and he's lefty, you know, like me. So
we went today to Jermell Charlos versus Austin Trout. That fight next month. What do you make of that fight? How do you see that fight coming out?
That's another 50-50 fight because I mean both of them are good fighters, and we all know the power and the accuracy of both Charlo brothers. But one thing I noticed is when John Jackson fought Charlo, when Charlo fought for the WBC title, when he originally won the WBC title, John Jackson was up on the cards like the first 3 or 4 rounds. And the reason why was because of how elusive he was and how he was like real explosive and elusive, and he gave Charlo different looks. One thing I learned, I see about both Charlos is you can't stand in front of them. You know, they're very strong. You have to give them different looks. You almost have to be like the Matrix. You got to give them different looks, high and low, left and right, paint and feint. You got to give them something. You almost got to throw some bugs on a windshield for them and then break them down, because if you just try to go tit for tat, punch for punch with them, they're strong. You know what I mean? That's their gift. Their gift is their strength, and they have skill. So if Austin Trout expects to win, he's going to have to really use that southpaw style to his advantage. He's going to have to jab a lot from the outside, give feints high and low, and just throw some bugs on the windshield and then land combinations behind that to make Charlo uncomfortable. But if you just go in there and try to fight him, I mean, it could be a short night. You know what I mean? Because like I said, power is their gift. You know.
Well, at 154, we have Charlo, we have Jarrett Hurd with 2 titles. We have, we also have Lara. Can you still make 154? Would you be able to go down to that fight, to that weight for a fight?
If they were to give me, the story of my career is I've taken big fights on short notice and won them, So taking fights on short notice, it's hard to get down to 54 in 3 or 4 weeks and be strong, So this is one of the reasons why I fight at 60 so much. But if I was given a good 8 or 9 week camp and I could either come out here to LA or go back down to Florida where it's nice and warm at and way to be a little easier to make and really focus the whole 8, 9 weeks towards that fight, I would fight any of the 54s. I would fight Jarrett Hurd. I would fight Charlo. I would fight any of the guys at 54 because I can make 54 and still be strong if I had an 8 or 9 week notice. That's the great elixir right there. I need the time in between to actually make that weight. Because when I fought Rosado, I came in at 158, not even trying, So, yeah, I would need that a good solid 8 weeks so I can really work, and really gear my camp towards not only training but breaking the weight down the right way, instead of saying, yo, we just gotta. I'm always in shape because I live in the gym, and then we're just gonna lose the weight the last week or something, Like that's been the story of my career. But a good 8 weeks, yeah, 54, here I come,
Making 154 or going up to heavyweight. Have you heard about what's that figure they're saying? How much is it for Anthony Joshua and Wilder? How much did Wilder offer? $1 million.
Heavyweight for $50 million. $50 million. I won't even have to go up. I'll just let me be a middleweight and I'll fight this heavyweight fight.
I think we all would.
I wouldn't hesitate.
What do you make of that fight whenever it happens?
I think Eddie Hearn is doing a smart thing by keeping Anthony Joshua away from Deontay Wilder for a little while. Like, Deontay Wilder is the best heavyweight on the planet right now. And that's just facts. Anthony Joshua was nice, and they've done a good job at promoting him and picking the right time to fight guys. Like, he beat Klitschko, and give him his props for it. But, Klitschko is years past his prime. You know what I mean? And it's a good name to have on his resume and everything. And it's smart what they're doing with Anthony Joshua. And I think Anthony Joshua can fight. He's not all hype. He can really fight, but he's not ready for the bomb squad, man. He's not ready for bomb squad. And Deontay Wilder is just a totally different animal, man. Like, if anything, they better do what these guys have been trying to do, wait until Triple G get old. They better try to wait until Deontay Wilder is about 38, then fight him. Because right now, there's no heavyweight beating him. Like, I fought on the undercard when he fought Luis Ortiz, and I said, yo, this is a true 50-50 fight. I said if Deontay Wilder get past him, he's the best heavyweight on the planet. And after adversity, because Luis Ortiz, I forget whether it was like the 4th or 5th round, man, he had Wilder gone. Wilder gathered himself, came back, and then he stopped Ortiz. So that's a real champion right there. And when I saw that quality in him, on top of the fact that he's just got smoke in both hands and he can punch, I said, ain't nobody beating this man right now. Ain't nobody beating Deontay Wilder right now. Nobody beating that man.
Well, we'll see what happens with that fight. But meanwhile, we can't wait to see you back inside the ring. There you have it, Willie Monroe Jr. Thank you so much for taking the time and talk to us. Go ahead and enjoy. Finish your cheesecake. Thank you, Jeff.